While some parts of the province are seeing predictable winter weather, other regions are facing drought conditions in full force. In some areas, the drought has continued on since last summer. This week, we're going to discuss how drought is changing the way British Columbians live, work, and source their food and power. Joining us now are two people in Northern B.C. with a very vested interest in groundwater levels in particular. Darren Haskell is president of the Fraser Salmon Management Council and a member of the Slatson Nation. John Selecki is a cattle rancher near Burns Lake. Thank you both for joining us today. Now, thank you. You both live in areas that are currently under either extreme or exceptional drought conditions. What are your specific concerns as we head into the warmer months? John, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Well, specifically, we'd be concerned about forage growth, I suppose. You know, the amount of water that's in the groundwater and, the runoff and all that. It's going to create problems for the growth of our crops as well as potentially watering cattle.
And how about you, Darren?
Reduced water levels is just going to reduce the amount of typical fish habitat for our spawning salmon that are returning. Not only those, but the resident fish as well. You know, I mean, they need water to survive, and when these streams are drying out, you know, it's hard for them to even survive through the winter. Like just the eggs that are laid in the stream beds can barely survive the winters without the groundwater flowing. So I think that's going to be huge coming up for the summer.
Very real concerns for both of you. Now, John, your operation depends on water to grow grass for hay and to water your cattle. How did you manage to get through last year, and what is the long-term impact of drought on your production levels?
Well, how we got through, last year really is this winter is really the thing. And we had carryover hay from the year before. And because we have an irrigation system, then we can, have a little more production than we might need on a year-to-year basis. But last year, of course, any of our ground that wasn't irrigated didn't produce anything. So because of that, then we had to use our carryover from the previous year. Yeah, so that would be our concern, is just being able to provide feed, as well as the forage levels out on the range. You know, once the cattle leave home here in the beginning of June, and head out to range, we need enough grass to support them once they get out there. So that's a concern. Sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And Darren, we know that dwindling fish populations are bad for local ecosystems all around. What is the impact on First Nations communities in particular?
Many First Nations along the Fraser, not just us, but they depend on, the salmon runs every year for their food, for a healthy diet, and with the cost of groceries these days, the inflation rates, it's crazy. More and more people would like to have salmon and traditional foods, and if we're not able to get that, we have to depend on the grocery stores. I mean, our elders call our resources, like our natural resources, our grocery store. That's what we depend on for food, and if we're not able to access any of that, it's going to be a tough year. Depending on the grocery stores in town, and we're not able to practice our culture of preparing the fish, drying it, and storing it for the winter months. And like you said, the stocks are already dwindling, and now we have to fight with Mother Nature and climate change to really get these stocks back to the traditional levels.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, John, you obviously can't create more water. So what are you doing, or what can you do to alleviate the harm?
Well, what we're doing here at home is, in conjunction with Ducks Unlimited, we've got a water project development here. So we're digging a series of dugouts to store water. We're also putting in something called a nose pump along one of the lakes that we have. This is maybe more to conserve the lake and the foreshore, the riparian area around the lake, and there's a spring there that we'd like to keep the cattle out of that. So those are the things we've been doing. We've also put a fence along Tatterose Lake, which is the one that's right in front of my house here, and we will put a fence, I should say. And that, we're trying to improve the riparian areas on the ranch, as well as provide for the cattle.
Well, no doubt very practical implications for both of you. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.